Founders Fridays today. Samuel Adams, David Barton, Ira Stoll are still here. And David, you have a question.
Yeah. Was the Continental Congress a paying job back then, or did they just do it for love of country?
They got paid for their expenses. They had per diems that they were given and travel expenses. Sam's income really came from being the clerk of the Massachusetts Assembly. As a great writer, he was not a great orator, but he was a great writer, and so he got about £100 a year for that job, which was not much, but that helped with the embroidery work that went on with his wife.
You also have to understand that that wasn't a full-time job. None of them wanted it to be a full-time job. I mean, Benjamin Franklin was very clear. You don't do this full-time. We're going to meet for a while. I mean, I guess the closest really now is Texas. Is that probably the closest is what it was? Where Texas, the legislature only meets every other year?
140 days every other year. Every other year, 140 days.
Yeah. I mean, you know how much damage the United States government could do if they were only here 140 days out of every 2 years? How sweet would that be? That was the idea. Who's next? Right behind you. Yes.
Yeah, I am Samuel Adams. I was named after the boy prophet, and I'm related to him. And every day I get told, "Oh, you're related to that beer guy," and it infuriates me. Like there's never really a good, quick answer. Like what's like the defining thing that he did? Because nobody knows. People say he was the president, which is people don't know their history at all in America. So what is it? What's the one thing I say to these people? What did he do?
A couple things. One, can I respond to the beer thing? He owned what was called a malt house, and malt back then is not beer today. And by the way, that didn't do well. He didn't do well in any business he had, but he had a malt house. But according to founding father Benjamin Rush, who's called the father of temperance, he said neither malt nor wine nor beer could you get drunk on in the founding era. It had just enough alcohol to kill the bugs in the water, and that was it. So it wasn't even a beer that we consider today. That's a complete misnomer. They've stuck his name on something that really was not his. The thing you can say about him is there is no America as the United States without the leadership of Sam Adams. That's why they called him the father of the American Revolution.
It's true. You know what? There's somebody else that we'll start to introduce here in the coming weeks. George Whitefield.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. George Whitefield and Sam Adams. America doesn't exist without those two guys. George Whitefield and Sam Adams. One was a preacher from England. And this one has just had a profound belief in God. And it was, like I said at the very beginning in the story with George Washington, when Continental Congress came in and they had no faith, these guys stood up. They did two things. They gave other people the confidence and said, stand up. Stand up. God is telling us right now, this is his land. Stand up and fight for these rights. The other thing that they did, and this is critical, they explained to the American people the difference between rights in Europe and the rights here. And we're having the same discussion. It's human rights. How many people you're seeing now down at the border saying, I'm a human, I have human rights? No. No. In America, that's European. That leads to slavery. These guys understood individual rights. It's your choice, your life. You do it. Don't talk to me about human rights. That leads to Europe, and that is the key and the difference. Right. Would you agree?
Absolutely. That's what they let the whole philosophy of government summarized in 45 words in the Declaration. There is a Creator. He gives rights to man, and government exists to secure the rights that he gives us.
I think I said this on the air one time, and I don't remember, some pinhead, maybe at Time or something, that said, Glenn Beck, he doesn't even know about individual rights. That's not, God gives creators. No, Congress creates rights. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Read your history. Sam Adams was the key. Back in a minute.